Now you might be thinking,
And well, fuck you, Jordan, because I know a lot of great frontmen in metal. I know Matt Honeycutt, I know Tyler Carter, I know Ryan Kirby, I know Brian Garris, and...
well, guess what? Did you have to do a Wikipedia search on it? Because the only other people in this planet that know who those people are metalheads. What's up, guys? God damn it, it's been a long time. I'm Jordan Needham. I haven't been posting for a long time, and you guys probably have noticed. Somehow, I've still got up in subscribers. Not like a significant amount, but I was thinking like, dude, if I don't start posting, I'm gonna start dropping. But I really haven't, so thank you for all the support there. I don't know what's going on, but that's really cool. Also, if you wanna continue to support, you can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the subscribe button down below. You can follow me on Instagram, Jordan S. Needham. I'll link all this in the description. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can, you know, I'm all over the place. Why haven't I been posting? Well, that's a whole different story for a whole nother day. There's been a lot that's gone on since I really stopped the Shredheads podcast. I mean, like, a lot of stupid shit has happened since I stopped posting. Today, we're bringing back Shredheads. So Shredheads is not just gonna be a podcast, but we'll get into that on another episode too. God damn it, Jordan, you got so much to talk about. Why did you take so long? We'll get into that on another day. Today, I want to talk about why people don't like metal. That's sort of the topic. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can phrase that. I'm still not exactly sure how I'm going to title this video. There's like, why do people hate metal? Well, I don't really think people hate metal. Why do people not like metal? There's a difference between not liking, you know, disliking and hating. One involves like you're devoting energy to not liking something. So there's that, and I really don't think that's that realistic. But then, why do people not listen to it? At least as much as they used to. It used to be mainstream, you know? I mean, those are three different things. It's kind of all in the same ballpark, though. Why are my ears ringing? God damn it. Also, why am I wearing a stocking hat in the middle of summer? God, it's all right. It's better than this, you know? What was I talking about? Okay, I'm gonna take it from dislike and not listening to it. We'll kind of mix those together. I mean, those are all in the same ballpark. One's at first base, one's at second, and the other one, hate, is maybe out in the stands. Like someone hit a fucking home run and really fuck someone's day up with metal. I don't know how that happens, but they did it. So I came down with the top, I think it's about, yeah, the top 10 reasons people don't listen to metal. Some definitely have more an effect and mean more than the other ones. Some are more important than the other ones. Some of them are really insignificant. Some of them you might not agree with at all. And then it's something that I just found and I just wanted to pitch something out there. So we'll just go ahead and get into it. Number one, this doom and gloom stuff that comes from metal is like really hard for people to listen to. Especially metalcore, it's all this bitchy lyrics, and I say that as a real fan of metalcore. Like that's what I listen to all the time. A Day to Remember, Issues, I Prevail, Wage War, Falling in Reverse, Bring Me to Horizon, 1,000 Below, Slaves, Silent Planet, Polaris, Architects, Current. Yeah, looks like it's pretty much all metalcore. So why do people not like the doom and gloom thing? Well, honestly, I just think a lot of people would rather go about their days without hearing somebody scream into their ears about bitching. Like, they're just bitching about things. Some bands are worse than others. I would say, like, the Humidity Affliction is a good example of this. I was pumping some weights the other day, and I was, like, listening to the lyrics, and I go, yeah, okay, I'm lifting weights. This is supposed to be, like, a positive thing, and I'm hearing all this negativity, and it's, like, downer shit. And it's not that I'm completely against those things. There are real topics out there, but point is, people don't always want to listen to that. And I feel like metal is just swarmed with it. Like, it's hard to find. Number two, you guys are really gonna like this one. I think a lot of people don't want to associate with the sketchy fan base. There is a weird amount of sketchy people in the metal fan base. Now, I don't think the people that listen to metalcore are as sketchy as like the people that listen to 80s metal like Slayer. I don't think there's as many of these sketchy weirdos in his fan base. All I'm saying here is it's not uncommon to see a crackhead in the alley shooting up, doing whatever, wearing a Slayer, Korn, or some shirt like that, you know? So a lot of people don't want to associate themselves with that, and I totally get it. Like, I totally do. I've been to some concerts before where really don't feel comfortable around these people, and that's not to say that they're bad people or anything. It's just, I think you get the point. Number 3, this is one of those not as significant ones. So I think that a lot of people just don't listen to it because it's harder to vibe to, you know, like it's really intense, and there's only a few times during your day, and not even for everyone's day all the time, where you really want to listen to some intense shit, you know, like maybe if you're driving to work and your job is kind of a labor, like a physical labor job, like in the fields or something, maybe you want to listen to some intense shit. Or maybe when you're working out. But when you're like about to go to sleep, or you're just like making food, do you really want to listen to this? I'm uncomfortably numb, struck with apprehension because I am just not like you. You're fucking like a dog, but I'm a fucking wolf. Fuck yeah, I mean I do it all the time. And then I don't sleep for 3 hours. So I totally get that. I mean, it's not easy to really relax to. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4. This is probably one of the most important ones I'm talking about here. Metal isn't very accepting to pop culture. Personally, that's one of the reasons that I'm a metalhead, so it's kind of weird. And I know there's a lot of people like me that are metalheads because of that reason. Like, they didn't want to be the popular kids. They didn't really care. It wasn't about that, and they kind of had something against that. They kind of felt like the outcasts. And so I totally get that, but at the same time, it's like if you want to be a successful genre, like you want to have successful bands in that genre, you gotta accept pop culture. And it's not that metal hasn't at all. I mean, there's some bands that have, and if you look at them, they're really successful. We got like Bring Me the Horizon, we got A Day to Remember, and even Fallen in Reverse with Ronnie Radke. So there's some bands that have. And this ties in nicely to number 5, which is the sound of metal just hasn't changed that much, and people want to hear new shit. So the sound has been really stagnant for like, I don't know, like 20 years now. I mean, it's hard to find something that's like way different than the rest of the bands. Like, it's not to like praise the fuck out of Bring Me the Horizon, but their stuff is definitely unique, and so is Fallen in Reverse because Ronnie Radke's doing all this rapping and all that. And then you got like Issues, and those are all like respectfully unique. I see it, even through these dark red eyes. Yeah, believe it. But besides that, I mean, metalcore, like almost all the bands sound the same. Deathcore, all these subgenres, they really do. It's hard to pick a band out from the crowd, you know? People want to hear new shit. They don't want to hear something that sounds like it could have came out 20 years ago. And especially when you listen to these metalcore bands right now, it sounds like it came out in 2008, 2005, whatever. I mean, but I personally, like, I got to thinking about this topic. Is this because metal is just expected to use certain instruments, so they're kind of limited? They can only blend so much with other genres and still be considered metal, if you get what I'm saying. So is it because that they have to use drums, and they have to use guitar, and they have to use bass guitar? All these things limit their sound to where it's like you can only write so many riffs, you know? You can only write so many drum licks. After a while, when you got thousands and thousands of bands and thousands of artists putting things out in this genre of music, it's just, how do you be original anymore, you know? And this is something that people struggle with all the time now, because we got YouTube, we got Spotify, we got all these different platforms for people to put stuff out on, and no matter what field of art you're in, it's difficult to be original now because there's just so much out there. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to number 6. This one is, again, it could be a whole video, and I've seen people make videos on this before, but I don't really think minorities feel welcomed in the metal community. And personally, Obviously I'm white, so I don't feel comfortable speaking too much about this, so I'm just gonna say what I've seen at face value. It seems that the metal community isn't really racist, but there's some that are sprinkled into it. And I would say that most of them are probably the ones from the 80s. Probably the people listening to Slayer, Sepultura, and Metallica, and all that kind of shit. I've seen minorities at concerts, but it's definitely not a large percentage of people. I think this is kind of a social stigma. It's just been followed with us throughout time. So people in the 80s kind of ruined it for people now. And because personally, like, here's something I noticed when I was at the Knock Loose concert. I was watching Stick to Your Guns. Before a song, he talked about how this song is about racist and how he fucking hates racists and, you know, they shouldn't be around and all that. And then before a breakdown in the song, he said fuck racists, and then everybody started like, hey, you stop that. There's a whole ass hurricane going on. And I'm here filming a fucking YouTube video like this is important. So anyways, Stick to Your Guns does this whole thing. Fuck racists. Everybody starts moshing. It's a whole fucking breakdown and boom, everybody's going around, right? But after the song, I look around and I realize everybody's white. We all got on board, fuck racist, but why are there no minorities here? I don't think the bands are racist. I really don't. I mean, a lot of the lyrics are actually very progressive. I mean, Kublai Khan's got some stuff out there. Obviously, Rage Against the Machine, that's a little later. Or, I mean, you know, way back there. I mean, a lot of these bands do have songs about minorities and about oppression and about police brutality. But I just don't think, at face value, metal appears to be very accepting. I can't really speak on why that is in detail because obviously I'm not a minority. Moving on to number 7. This one, people might not figure to be a big reason, but I personally have experience with it and I know other people do too. When you listen to metal, people give you weird looks. And that sounds dumb. I mean, it's basic human psychology. If you're listening to something and your friends aren't, it's gonna be hard to keep listening to that. So you're gonna start listening to what your friends are listening to. But if you're listening to it and your friends are listening to it, then this is awesome. And that's kind of how this whole metal community thing happens. And we're like every metalhead in the school knows every other metalhead. I personally have made friendships just because I listen to metal. I don't really feel like that's a thing with pop and with hip hop and rap. I don't really feel like that's the same thing. I don't feel like someone goes, oh yeah, I listen to rap. And then someone goes, oh yeah, me too. And then we're friends. Well, not really, because everybody in the classroom listens to rap. But if it's like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, I listen to metalcore all the time. And you got this guy over there and he's like,
Bro, that's like all I listen to.
and you're like, oh, really, bro? And then you're friends because you talk about stuff that no one else is talking about. So you feel this connection, like,
You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
And honestly, when people hear the screams in hardcore, metalcore, deathcore especially, a lot of times, like, you know, people just think that only crazy people listen to it. And I can assure you that that is not fucking true. But, you know, a lot of the singers, like, they kind of are crazy. So that's fair, and they don't really want to be thought of as crazy, these people listening to it. And you know what? That's okay with me. Let's move on. Number 8, poor marketing. A lot of these bands, they're just not great at putting stuff out there and advertising it. I'll open Spotify and then I'll see that one of my favorite bands just released a new album. And I'll be like, how did I not know about this? I mean, I follow you on Instagram, I follow you on Twitter or whatever, and I didn't even know. Maybe that's just me being a moron. And granted, I am a giant moron, so that's probably what it is. But also, I don't think a lot of these bands really advertise that they're making an album. And then it just comes out. And then it gets drowned out by all these other albums. So there's that. And there's also the whole thing of, like, a lot of their social media pages just kind of suck. I mean, they don't feel like a personal connection with their fan base. It's just a lot of them aren't very active in the public scene, and I get that. That's a whole metal thing. Like, it's really metal not to want the popularity, you know, which that's kind of what brings us together as metalheads. But at the same time, again, if you want the genre to succeed, then maybe you gotta change that. It's not that easy. I'm making it out like it's easy to do. It is not easy to do. There are careers out there just in marketing, just in promotion, just in social media marketing. So I'm like really simplifying this issue, but especially in metal, it's a giant issue. And like I said, this kind of has to do with not wanting to be popular, the kind of whole anti-social thing that's very alive and well in metal, and probably always will be, and it's been alive and well in metal since metal came out.
You're anti-social. You're anti-social. I'm not anti-social. I'm anti-bullshit. I'm not anti-social.
A lot of the members of bands don't want to be popular. Really, they're just in it to make music. They don't care if they're making money off of it. But again, people still do have to survive. They gotta make a living. And a lot of these bands that metalheads listen to, like personally, a lot of the bands I listen to, they barely get by. I mean, they're eating like scraps and vans and shit when they're on tour. So at some point, it's like, you gotta be a businessman, at the same time you gotta be an artist, and there's gotta be both. So you can't just totally forget about the money. I mean, if you want your art to be appreciated, you gotta get it out there. Everyone's got their own opinion on this one, and it's up to the artist if they wanna be huge or not. And it's not like you get to decide, like, I'm gonna be a giant band right now. I mean, people, you gotta make good stuff, and it's not easy to do. So, and now we're on to number 9. Also ties in very well to the poor marketing standpoint. There's not very many great frontmen anymore. Now you might be thinking,
And well, fuck you, Jordan, because I know a lot of great frontmen in metal. I know Matt Honeycutt, I know Tyler Carter, I know Ryan Kirby, I know Brian Garris, and...
well, guess what? Did you have to do a Wikipedia search on it? Because the only other people in this planet that know who those people are metalheads. And they had to look it up. But does anybody have to do a Wikipedia search to figure out who Ariana Grande is, who J. Cole is, who Drake is? Fuck no. They just know. And that part of that is because they're artists, not bands. And it's hard to do when you have a band and you're attached to 5 different names inside of the band. It's harder for people to feel a personal connection to somebody, and people want that personal connection. People don't want to be supporting just an idea of a band. They want to support the people in the band. And it's hard to do that when you don't know who is in the band. And it's harder to follow just a band. Like when a band is posting on social media, who in the band is posting? Is it the bassist, the lead singer, the drummer? Who's making these posts? You don't know. But if it's the front man of the band making a post, you'll feel more of a connection with them, especially if they respond. It's like, hey, Ryan Kirby responded to me, not, hey, Fit for a King responded to me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's more of a connection to a person than just the idea of a band. Michael Jordan selling the shoes. They want to be connected with Michael Jordan. They want to feel like they're supporting Michael Jordan and not just Nike. They don't want to just support Nike. It's like, who gives a shit? But once these athletes started getting into these businesses, it was a big deal. It was like, oh, okay, well, I feel a connection to this guy. I'm going to support him. He plays on the Seattle Seahawks, and I love this guy, and so I'm going to buy his cleats, or I'm going to buy his shoes, or whatever, instead of just, I'm going to buy Nike. It takes a lot to be a great frontman. And that's why people like Ronnie Radke are just like, let's go with the 10th and final reason people don't like metal. And this is the biggest one. So get ready, okay? This is the biggest reason people don't listen to metal. It's huge, okay? It's huge. You gotta listen. They just don't. They don't want to hear it. They didn't grow up listening to it, so why would they start listening to it now? I mean, the music you listen to growing up is probably the music you're gonna be listening to for the rest of your life. And that changes a little bit, but you'll kind of stay in the genre. I mean, people that listen to metal in the 80s, they're still listening to it now. So what you grow up listening to is what you're gonna listen to. If all your friends listen to it, you're gonna listen to it too. And there's not very many people anymore that listen to metal. So it's like, well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you disagree with anything, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. You can even DM me on Instagram, or you can let me know on Snapchat. Now, I don't really promote that very much, but go ahead, and if you personally know me, hit me up on Snapchat. But the comment section, Instagram, you can hit me up on Facebook, and go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on all these platforms right now. I really hope you guys like this episode because I put a lot of planning into the future of my channel. I got a lot of cool things planned. I'm really trying to put out a new theme on this channel, and this is what I'm gonna be riding with for the next, I mean, as far as I can plan, this is what I want to do. And I really enjoy talking about music. I really enjoy talking about metal. So this is a channel from now on. It's all about metal. And there might be some funny things sprinkled in there, but it's mostly about metal. I'm Jordan Needham. Hit the subscribe button down below, and I will catch you next time.